Hello, welcome to the walkthrough of the new activity approval system on the Berkshire Scouts website. Just before we start, there will be two videos here. The first one will be helpful for leaders and other people filling in approvals forms, and the second video, which has got a link to below as well, will be useful for those involved in the management and approval part of it. It's worth watching both of them if you're involved in the approval so that you understand how the first steps work as well. The benefits of this system are about all of the management actions being taken online rather than relying on people replying to a thread of emails. We hope that there's an improved interface that makes it more user-friendly. We've also built in collaboration by default so that you can start off a form and then somebody else in your section can go back in and edit it a bit more, add a bit more information, and then maybe somebody else can go and add the documents, and then somebody else could send it in for approval, or in whatever stages you'd like that to happen. So that hopefully gives the flexibility to collaborate in the way that we know teams already do work. We've also built in a few useful features, so the ability to duplicate an event, so you can find one that you've already run and essentially copy and paste it into a new one. So you might just need to change a few details to say that you're running it the following day or the following week or a few months' time to be able to help save you a little bit of work. And finally, to edit submitted events, so rather than going in and needing to fill out a new form, being able to edit ones that have already been submitted. So in this video I'll just walk through key points which will hopefully help you make use of this system as a volunteer running a section. So you can get there through the front page of the website. You can see at the moment, you might have noticed on the address bar that I'm using our staging site just so that I don't create new notifications in the live site, but the system is exactly the same in the live site. So within quick links we've got a link to activity approvals, or you can log into all of the other applications. Either way, it will take you to our login page. If you're not familiar with that or can't remember your password, there's a link below there, and once you're logged in here, you'll see on the list of applications on the right hand side activity approvals, as it's been before. The link has changed itself just because the app has moved, but other than that it's still in that list for you. So this default view is the view of all of the events that you can see and have got access to. So for most people who help out with a section, you'll be able to see your events and others that your team have created for the future and from the past as well. For those with perhaps a district, group or county level role, you'll be able to see a mixture of different events in here. To be able to make sense of them, there's two useful areas that I'll just touch on towards the top right hand corner. So you can see more events by increasing the page size, and you can also use the filter to help you be able to find particular events. For example, from a particular section if you're just looking for cub events, or from a particular group, for example. So that might be helpful as an outset. To be able to create a new form, we've got this green button at the top here for actions and new activity approvals. Once you click on that, you'll see a pop-up window. This is the first of 4 screens you can see from the dots along the top to ask you some information about what you're organising. On the front screen here, the first one, you can see some basic information about the event, where it's being run, who's going, who's running it, and some contact information and the names of the leadership team. If we give it some basic information, it will start you off, and as soon as you've popped in some numbers, you notice that the orange button called Save Draft is now available. So as soon as you've got some young people numbers in there, you'll be able to save that as a draft. Other information doesn't have to be input at this stage. You can do, but you don't need to. Once you've got some information in there, you can walk through to add details of venues, dates, etc., as you previously would have done. The third screen asks you about any adventurous activities, specific qualifications, and your in-touch arrangements. You can see here that each of these are buttons, toggle buttons, so if you click them it will ask you for some relevant information, and the one for in-touch on the right hand side here asks everybody to explain their in-touch arrangements, and if you have a home contact as part of your in-touch arrangements, it will ask you for their details as well. You can notice that on some of the fields you've got a little red asterisk, a little star, so that means that it is required. It's not required at the point of saving a draft, so you can come back and add these details later, but it will ask you for them before you submit a form. The final of the 4 screens also has a number of toggle buttons to ask you for some information, and you can switch each of these on and off, and you'll notice that the bottom 3 are required to be able to send them in. You can also add a risk assessment, and it will ask you to upload them in there. So at the moment we haven't completed everything, but we can save it as a draft, and you might notice that it then appears in your list. Just pause to explain the colours that you can see in the list. So that event that we've just created here has gone in as orange, and it says draft alongside there, and you can see there's a little pencil below. So orange events are draft. That's regardless of who's created it. So as I said, we've made collaboration easy so that you can see events created by other people in your section. So events might start off as orange, and then once we've submitted them, which we'll go back and have a little look at in a moment, you can see that there's one that is blue here. So it's a blue bar across. It will say submitted underneath it, and it's got a little tick in a clipboard there as well. At the moment we've got a few of these that are in the sort of white grey colour and say completed. This is while the system is fairly new, so those are any forms that were submitted before the new activity approvals form came out, and so you can still see all of the information in there, but it's not subject to the same management process. So we've got orange for draft, blue for submitted, and then once something has been approved it will go green as well, so you'll be able to see that in there. So now we've got this draft event. If we click it back up again, we can put some extra information in there, so that we've got enough information to be able to submit it. So as I mentioned, if you're looking at the red asterisks, to be able to input the information, then that's where it will guide you towards. At the point of clicking submit, you'll notice it will go back and double check that everything's okay, and it will highlight a circle at the top if I've missed anything off. So I can click back in there, and it's noticed that that's not a real phone number. If that's the only error I've made, then I'm doing well. Here we go. You get a little opportunity just to check that you do want to submit it. This is the point at which it goes into the system, and people may be told about it straight away. So you might just want to have a little pause and either decide to confirm and submit it, carry on, go back to editing, or return to your draft mode. So let's confirm this, and it tells you that it's gone off, and that then your district process for approving activities will kick in at this point. You notice that my orange event at the top has now gone blue, and so I've gone in and I've submitted it. I could, if I wanted to, still be able to go and edit it if I realise I've popped the wrong date or needed to attach something, for example. So you can still open it up and either save it as draft or submit it again there. The activity approvals will be given through here, so you'll notice that some of them say submitted. We might come back and see that some others have been approved as well. There's a number of different stages to the approval, and so the members of your district team or in your group, depending on how your district have organised it, will go through and be asked questions about if they're happy with the leadership team, that people's training's up to date, that activities are appropriate, risk assessments are in place, and so forth. you'll see updates either each time an edit is made to your approval, or once your event is approved in full as well, and you'll get email notifications to let you know about that. If you're ever wondering at what state your event is running, in the top left hand corner are these three dots. We can see the really useful duplicate function that we mentioned earlier. So it will take a copy of that event and copy pretty much all of the information across, and just leave you to put a few more things in there, like the date, for example. The other option that's useful to look at here is the audit trail. So the audit trail will show you, this one's a fairly simple one because I've only created it recently. It will show you who did what, at what state the event is in, what time, and all of those kinds of details as well. You can imagine that for some bigger events or involving some back and forth, this might be useful to just go and double check who did what at what time. And if you ever needed to take a copy of it, there's a little download function over here to be able to download that into a CSV format as well. It's not designed to look particularly pretty, it just gives you a status update on the event there as well. We touched a couple of times on email updates. If we just go back to the app's homepage here, an area that is on the left hand side that says My Details has now got a couple of new options down the bottom. So all the way down the bottom, these lists won't be as long for most people. You'll notice we've got an email frequency option which hasn't been here before. By default, the email frequency is set to daily, which means that you'll get only one email each day, which is sent out overnight. You'll get one email with an update of all the events that are relevant to you. For most volunteers in sections, that will just be events that you're organising or that somebody else in your team is organising. But for members of, for example, a group team, a district team, or the county team, there might be other events that they're also seeing as well. So we've defaulted these email updates to come daily, so that people's inboxes don't take too much of a battering. You're welcome, of course, to change this to an option that suits you. So the middle option says hourly, so it will give you a digest email rather than every 24 hours. It will give you one every hour if there's been a change. So this means that you're seeing things pretty quickly, but without the immediacy of immediately. So the downside and the warning, if you like, on immediately is that if somebody goes in and saves things and submits things, goes back to edit them, updates them again in quite quick succession, if you've got immediately switched on, you'll get an email each time various actions are taken, whereas the safety net of hourly is that you will get a roundup of that once an hour. And daily, as I said, we'll give you a roundup of it once a day. So you're welcome to change those preferences, find out what works for you. We're always open to feedback on how this is going, and already since rolling it out over the last couple of weeks, we've had people come back and suggest things that we've been able to action really quickly. Any other issues that people come across that you want to feedback, whether it's good or bad or a future suggestion, are really welcomed. On the contact the county team page on the bottom of the website, there's a few places to do this, but if you go to county team in the bottom purple box, you'll notice that there is a link for the IT team help desk, and that will give you the opportunity to open a ticket and to send in some feedback as well. So anything there is always really valuable. So just go back on the benefits really, which are the reasons that we've created this system. All of the events can be managed and approved online, and you can check in for the copy and the audit trail of what's happened there. Hopefully you agree that there's an improved interface to the app, which makes it a bit easier to use. The collaboration functions to help you share the workload around others in your team will be beneficial. The ability to duplicate events is something that has been requested, and so hopefully that will be helpful, and being able to edit events as well without creating new forms. Final point just to add here is that this is at the moment the activity approvals system. we are looking at using a pretty similar system for Nights Away later this year, and also to bring Visits Abroad process in line with this as well. Obviously with different questions where they're needed, but as the principles of the interface are out there and hopefully will become more familiar to people, then both Nights Away and Visits Abroad can follow. So the suggestion, that my comment there about being able to give feedback in, if we can make things work really smoothly on the activities side of things, then they'll be able to work really smoothly, I hope, on the other two as well. This is the end of the video for volunteers working in section teams. The second video is also linked below, and we'll look at the activity approvals process for those involved in approving events as well. Thanks ever so much.